All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Medium Cool Show. Today we're going to be discussing The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly from 1966, baby. Directed and co-written by the legendary Sergio Leone. We're finishing off our Dollars Trilogy series. We just talked about Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More, so go check those videos out. Yeah, we're going to be talking about spoilers because I want to talk about some things. And if you haven't seen this movie before, then go watch it because you're fucking missing out on one of the greatest pictures of all time.
I mean, you've probably heard of this movie and you should watch this if you haven't, because it is like the pinnacle of like when people are like, oh, do you like movies? Do you like cinema? Blah, blah, blah. It's like the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking so good.
Yeah, like my brother, I when I just saw my brother, I was like, have you seen this movie? And it's Good, the Bad, the Ugly. And he said, well, yeah, I started watching it, but yeah, that's what he said. And I was just like, bro, this is like one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah. Dude, the thing about Sergio Leone, compared to like modern day media, he's definitely of the era of like David Lean and these like crazy epics. And
it's like David Lean, but it's more entertaining.
Yeah, way more entertaining, way more comic booky, you know? And it's like just this like sprawling epic that he creates. And it's slowly paced. But he's like at this point in his career.
Yeah.
Whereas he had Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More. Those are kind of little flicks, dude. This is like the big picture. This is the epic of the trilogy. And it really is like a culmination of everything in his like wheelhouse. You know, like his fucking amazing direction with actors, his fucking sets, his camera work, his fucking stories, you know? And you're like, bro, this is exactly what you want when you watch a movie. That's how I felt. Yeah.
So the first two in the Dollars Trilogy take place after the Civil War, and then this one takes place during the Civil War.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it takes place during the Civil War, and it's like has all the elements of those other two movies, but we have definitely the grander scale, and then we also have like a deeper like thematic quality to it.
We definitely do, yeah.
Which is something that I appreciate more now than when I first watched it 10 years ago when I was getting into these films. You have the Civil War aspect, and then I think this time when I was watching it, I was just like, I knew what was going to happen. Like I'd seen it a few times before, but I think this time I really appreciated the score. Yeah. It was almost like listening to a really good album and watching a really good movie at the same time.
Very much so, dude. And like I said, like how each movie improves on itself. Yeah. Ennio Morricone improves on itself every single time he makes a score for him. And it's so sick. Like this is one of the most iconic soundtracks maybe in any film ever, you know? Yeah. Just the whistle and this, it really is like a concert in a way.
We have, obviously, Clint Eastwood back again. This movie is where he became the icon. This is where he became iconic as fuck. This is like that movie. Yeah. This is like the quintessential Clint Eastwood, like badass but cool dude where he just really came into his own. And I think he originally didn't want to do the movie, but they offered him $250,000, a Ferrari, and then there was something else that 10% of the net profits.
10% of the net profit. Yeah, and Sergio Leone flew out to LA himself to try to convince him. He's like, dude, fucking, you're the person for this role. Yeah. You know?
Well, I think he did that because he wanted to do Once Upon a Time in the West with Sergio Leone, or with Clint Eastwood, but he was going to play the Charles Bronson role, and he actually flew out with the script to try to convince him to do the part, but he was like, no, I'm not working with
He still turned it down.
He turned down Sergio Leone because he was too meticulous and too like, I don't know what this thing, I mean.
Even though this movie is very much like the movie that kind of got Clint Eastwood out of like hell in a way, where he was kind of in like, I wouldn't say production hell, but he was definitely like a shuffled away star, you know, working in Italy. And this movie is like what fucking launched him out of that. And it
yeah.
launched fucking Sergio Leone into, like, within Hollywood and with it, like, respect of his peers, you know, like, at a very high level.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's an Italian, Spanish, and American production, like primarily produced by Alberto Grimaldi, who's a legendary Italian producer. He produced with Federico Fellini, Sergio Leone, and Pier Paolo Pasolini, dude. He was like a fucking legendary dude. Respect to him. He died a couple years ago at the age of 95, bro.
Fucking yeah, dude.
Legendary career in that. But also, we have the addition of Eli Wallach, who plays Tuco in this, the bad.
Well, we have to talk about, first, before we talk about Eli Wallach, we have to talk about fucking Lee Van Cleef coming back and reprising this role.
Yeah.
Cause,
well, I was going to get to that, but yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, but I feel like we got to save Eli Wallach for, like, the last, because he is, like, the addition that, like, kind of makes it, right?
Yeah.
And so Lee Van Cleef reprises a role in this film, but he kind of plays he plays the bad guy, right? He plays the bad. But the thing about this film that I love so much is, like, the lines are always so gray, you know? It's like, you never know if someone's, like, good or bad, because they're all just, like, kind of outlaws and stuff, and they're all bounty hunters. But Lee Van Cleef comes in and he's just got that fucking charm and that, like, sharp wit, and he looks so sharp all the time, and you're like, dude, that guy's a boss of his own body.
Well, he's an evil guy.
He's an evil guy,
Like, he's not a good guy. Like, they're all anti-heroes in their own right, but there's something about him that's a little bit more, like, evil. Like, he's, like, killing people for his own good, whereas I feel like Clint Eastwood and Eli Wallach, they're not good guys, but they're not just, like, randomly killing people just if they don't have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, they only kill, like, Clint Eastwood will only deadeye someone if they threaten his life. But he's also a con man.
Yeah, he's a con man. But what I think is very interesting, too, is Lee Van Cleef, the way they kind of frame his evilness is within, like, a bureaucratic system.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I made a deal. If I get paid to do this job, I have to see this job out. He's almost like someone that, like, follows a strict code, but he doesn't let the morality of it, like, sway his opinion. You know what I mean? And I think that was, like, an interesting commentary of, like, someone that follows, like, these strict rules, but they don't question it. You know what I mean? And I thought that was really interesting. And then, yes, we get to Eli Wallach.
Yeah, Eli Wallach, bro.
Who, fuck yeah, dude. I think he's my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's, like, definitely the comical, he brings the comedy in with him.
Yeah,
you know?
like, I think he's the most fleshed out character, too, you know?
Yeah.
And
he's, like, a shifty little, like, even though he's American, but he's, like, Spanish, like, Mexican, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he's, like a shifty little, like, Mexican guy. He's, like, oh, blondie. Oh.
Yeah.
But it's such a cool little thing they have going, little scam that they have going where they... Basically, he's an outlaw, so he has a bounty on him, and they come up with a scam where he gets caught. Well, Clint Eastwood will find him and then arrest him, and then when he goes to hang, he'll collect the bounty, and when he goes to hang, he'll shoot him right when they're about to hang him. They'll shoot the rope off his head, and then they'll come back and they'll split the money up. So that's that's the introduction to it, and then they both, like, double cross each other until the point where they both find out about the gold. Yeah. And one of them knows where the gold, like the cemetery where the gold is hidden, but they don't know exactly what grave it's hidden under, but the other one knows the actual grave. So they both have to go on this journey to find the gold in the grave. Then we have Lee Van Cleef's character, Angel Eyes. Yeah. And he's also heard about the gold as well, and he's on their tail.
He's on their tail, yeah.
And they have, like, this, like, whole journey cross-cutting between all three of them, all their predicaments and stuff.
And a civil war is going on.
Yeah.
In the South.
And one thing that we have to highlight here is that Sergio Leone set out to make a picture where he wanted to depict the Northern soldiers just as bad. Basically, every movie depicts, like, the Southern soldiers as being the bad guys, but really, like, the Northerners were just, like, we're not, like, everything, all the movies depicted the Northerners as, like, good guys, but really they were just pretty much as bad, but they were just, like, kind of doing their job. You know what I mean?
He wanted to show, like, the atrocities that were committed
on
both sides, right? He wanted to depict the atrocities going on both sides, and I think he definitely does a good job at that, like, showing the camps and, like, showing just like the brutality of what's going on in the war, you know? That scene where they're in that like ditch with the bridge and stuff. Oh my god, that scene's like so epic.
Yeah, and every time they show soldiers, they play this Ennio Morricone score, and it's so fucking like emotional.
Yeah,
like it's like this like trumpet thing going on, and I'm just like, holy shit! Like when you first see soldiers in it, they played that score, and I was like, and it's always like so like emotional for me because you're like, wow, this is so like it feels so important and epic.
Really?
And that's why it elevates this movie from just a fucking B movie for an Italian movie that everyone just called these movies like, oh, spaghetti western. It's just it's not art. It's just like a B movie, like exploitation movie.
Yeah.
But that is like really what elevates it to like a piece of art.
Yeah, he is a fucking artist, dude. He is someone that grew up making movies.
Yeah.
And grew up in the studio system in Italy. And he fucking loves Akira Kurosawa. He loves all these fucking amazing international directors and international movies. And he's someone that studied that. He's a huge historian, and he fucking puts it together so well, dude. Every single movie in the Dollar Trilogy steps it up.
Yeah.
By tenfold, you know?
Yeah.
And it culminates in such an amazing, most iconic Mexican standoff.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so sick, dude.
Oh, yeah. It's so fucking good, the ending, and just like the buildup of everything. Like when we watched the movie, you know, like you went to bed.
I had to, dude.
You went to bed, and then you probably started watching. You went to bed, and like the next day you started watching it from like where you probably left off, and like, yeah, I get it, you went to bed, but like it was so much more powerful watching it like all the way through, like that 3-hour period. Like that ending was so fucking incredible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But you know, whatever. Like it's that scene by itself. You can watch it by itself, like on YouTube. The final standoff with all the editing and the music, it's just a perfect like climax and a culmination, and then the ending where he like rides off and he's letting Tuco like hang there, and he's like about to hang, and then he fucking shoots him.
Yeah.
Dude, and he just falls, and then he runs off in the planes. And there's like that shot in the end where it just holds on for like so long. You don't know when it's going to be like the end, you know?
Yeah.
And this movie had mixed reviews when it came out. Even Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars, but then he reappraised it and he was like, yeah, like I didn't realize that this was like, I thought it was just an exploitation movie.
Yeah, sure.
Know?
Roger Ebert.
Yeah.
Whatever. Get over yourself, dude. Sergio Leone, people said on the set that he wasn't like the safest dude, though.
No.
Like they said like multiple times. Eli Wallach said like, yeah, I felt like I could have been like seriously hurt. Like there's one time where the rope, he was like tied up, right, and like when they shot the blank, it scared the horse so much that he rode off with him on it.
Yeah.
With his hand still tied behind his back, and it ran for like about a mile or something. They couldn't stop it. And then the other thing is like, you know that scene where he jumps off the train with that guy, and he kills him. He's trying to break the chain off of him and the other guy's arm. He gets it and he severs the train. But if he had stood up at that moment, he had to stay down, and they didn't know this, and they never measured this, which is fucking insane. Yeah, because he could have been decapitated.
Yeah, he could have. But yeah, that was like a crazy stunt, and like the body goes underneath the thing in the train.
Yeah, but like I know Sergio Leone, like he doesn't have the most resources. You know, he's like a scrappy filmmaker, and that's what I think is like really impressive with this. Is like he's making this essentially on like a small budget for a Hollywood picture at the time. But he's able to capture this like amazing film.
Yeah.
And do so much with like so little.
Yeah, the final budget was $1.2 million, but it made like $39 million.
Yeah.
So it was a big hit. You know, Sergio Leone, like, he has a flawless filmography in my opinion. Like his first movie, The Colossus of Rhodes, like that was kind of like a Iron Hand type picture. It wasn't really like a Sergio Leone picture. I think his first true picture is Fistful of Dollars, and then we go all the way through to Once Upon a Time in America. If you guys want us to discuss Once Upon a Time in the West next, let us know in the comments below if you want us to watch and talk about that movie. All right, so, and then we can talk about Duck You Sucker and Once Upon a Time in America, but let us know if we should watch that next and talk about it. But yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down for more Westerns.